This episode is brought to you by Sax.com. At Sax.com, it's easy to find your new vibe. Dive into the Western trend with gold cowboy boots from Stott, or go full 90s throwback with platforms from Prada. You can shop for everything on your agenda, whether it's a breezy Zimmermann dress for a garden party or a bright Chloe blazer for brunch. Find inspiration for your new vibe every day at Sax.com.
It's a Minimalist Monday edition of Optimal Living Daily, episode 3147, How to Finally Say Goodbye to Sentimental Items by Kerri Richardson of cherishing.com. And I'm Justin Malik. Happy Monday. Welcome back to Optimal Living Daily, where I simply read to you, with permission from the authors, just an article a day that adds up over time to create a bit more meaning, inspiration, and happiness in our lives. We're going to get right to our Minimalist Monday post as we optimize your life. How to Finally Say Goodbye to Sentimental Items by Kerri Richardson of cherishing.com. Today would have been my parents' 60th wedding anniversary. Well, I guess it still is, even though my father is celebrating on the other side. It's quite a milestone. Ever since my dad passed away almost 2 years ago, I've thought about how great it would be if he could come back to human form a few days a year for special occasions such as this one. You'd think with all the brilliant science minds out there, someone could make this happen. Until it does, I'll keep relying on my memories of him. I talk to a lot of people who share how difficult it is for them to let go of sentimental items, particularly those given to them by a loved one who has since passed, or something that belonged to a deceased loved one. When considering letting go of these types of items, there are a couple important things to remember. Number one, the memory you have of that person lives in your heart, not in the item. And number two, if you no longer love the item, it's more honoring to let it go and keep the relationship you have or had with your loved one clean and uncluttered without any shred of resentment or the weight of obligation. The love-filled place where they now reside has no use for these lower consciousness emotions. They want nothing but joy and peace for you. My father once bought me a beautiful music box in the shape of a phonograph. I remember the day he gave it to me like it was yesterday. He and my mother had come to visit my sister and me, and we were all poking around some gift shops, which I'm sure was not how my dad wanted to spend the day. After finishing at a store, we got back in the car, and he handed me a bag. "I thought you might like this, kid," my dad said. I could still see the joy on his face as I pulled the music box out of the bag. I turned it upside down and wound it up. A most beautiful song emitted that instantly made me smile. "Thanks, Dad. I love it," I said. And I really did. I loved it. What I loved even more was his thoughtfulness and joy in presenting it to me. That music box sat proudly on a shelf above my desk until one day when it fell and broke beyond repair. Because of who gave it to me and the memory of that day, I kept it in pieces on my desk for weeks. That was until I realized looking at it made me sad. It no longer gave me the heartwarming memory of our day together. All I thought about was how disappointed I was that it broke. It was time to get rid of it, but I was hesitant. I felt as if I was being disrespectful and ungrateful. And then I got myself in check and realized that was the story I was telling myself, or hints of an old belief waving its finger at me. Then I remember what I tell my clients and students. Whoever gave you that item never intended to wrap up guilt and obligation with it. If you're no longer enjoying it for whatever reason, the respectful thing to do for your relationship with that person or the memory of that person is to let it go. So I threw out the pieces of the music box. And while I miss it, I get to enjoy the memory of that day again by no longer having the obliterated remnants staring me in the face. Even now in this moment, I think about that gift and our day together with love, even without the box being on my desk. The box broke, but my memory didn't. I can hear your resistance from here. Yeah, but my item isn't broken. I just don't want it anymore. It feels wrong to get rid of it just because I don't like it anymore. Well, you could always break it. I'm kidding. Sure, it may have been easier for me to get rid of my sentimental item because of its condition. However, sometimes things are broken on the inside. For instance, I have a beautiful blouse that I bought a couple years ago. The practical part of me says to keep it because it's in perfect condition, it's a flattering color on me, and it's a good fit. The problem? I bought it to wear to my father's wake. I wear it every now and then, but every time I pull it from the closet, I'm reminded of that day. And strangely enough, something about adorning it feels respectful of my father. Even though it makes me sad to see it in my closet, would I be dishonoring him by getting rid of it? Logical Kerri says, of course not. Emotional Kerri says, well, yeah, you kinda would be. The mental gymnastics are real, my friend. However, just last night, I decided to let it go and I added it to the donations box. It's time to let someone else wear it with joy. The sadness attached to it, for me, beats out the BS story I tell myself about it being disrespectful to get rid of it. Although the blouse is in perfect condition, what it represents feels the same as the broken music box. Are you wrestling with sentimental items? If so, consider this. Think about where these items are kept. If they've been sitting in a box in your basement for the last 5 years, they might not mean as much to you as you say. If you don't love these items enough to use them or display them, they're clutter. If you do really love them, honor them, display them, use them. This way you can benefit daily from the joy they bring you. Whenever you struggle with what to keep and what to clear, remember this mantra. If you don't love it, need it, or use it, it's clutter. Clutter clogs the channels of opportunity and abundance, and I'm sure, like me, you have big plans for your life. You don't need things holding you back. As Elizabeth Gilbert once said, don't let your house become a museum of grief. You just listened to the post titled, How to Finally Say Goodbye to Sentimental Items by Kerri Richardson of cherishing.com, and I'll be right back with my commentary. Okay, sponsor time. And instead of reading a script about Gusto's benefits, let's hear from small business owners, the people who use Gusto every day like me. Here's one. With Gusto, I think of payroll as a 30-second job. The website is so friendly and a joy to use. Friendly payroll? You don't hear that every day. Amy from Utah says, I love Gusto so much. They do our medical, dental, vision, and life insurance. It's so painless. It's like going to the spa. And we have great options and rates even though we're a super small team. Health insurance like going to the spa? Wow. And here's what Mneet says about Gusto's support team. Whenever something comes up, I reach out and literally 24 hours later, they tell us what to do or assure us that they've already handled it for us. Smart technology and friendly humans? That's cool. Honestly, the list goes on. And right now our listeners get 3 months free when they go to gusto.com/old. Yep, 3 months of payroll, benefits, admin, and more, totally free. Again, that's gusto.com/OLD.
This episode is brought to you by Sax.com. At Sax.com, it's easy to find your new vibe. Dive into the Western trend with gold cowboy boots from Stott, or go full 90s throwback with platforms from Prada. You can shop for everything on your agenda. Whether it's a breezy Zimmermann dress for a garden party or a bright Chloe blazer for brunch, find inspiration for your new vibe every day at Sax.com.
Thank you to Kerri. This is probably one of the most common questions I see when it comes to minimalism, what to do about sentimental items. But just asking that question to me means you're looking for a reason or permission, really, to get rid of something. And you might be feeling guilty about it. But there was a good quote in there. She said, whoever gave you that item never intended to wrap up guilt and obligation with it. If you are no longer enjoying it for whatever reason, the respectful thing to do for your relationship with that person or the memory of that person is to let it go. And I think that's true. Whoever gave it to you, if it has meaning, they gave it to you to bring joy into your life. And if it's doing anything but adding joy, wouldn't they want you to do something about that? Plus, it doesn't have to be trashed. It could be donated to someone in need. It can possibly bring joy to another person, spreading the happiness, which would also probably make the person who gave it to you happy. So I think if it seems like you're looking for permission to do it, just do it. And you can always take a picture of the item before moving on. Something to think about as we start the week and for Minimalist Monday. Have a great start to your week, and I'll catch you tomorrow with another article where your optimal life awaits.